King of Bots episode 3. So straight in with the first fight, we had Raging Bull versus Blue. Raging Bull was this like American style flipper, I'd say, sort of like Bronco with the sort of long, you know the kind I mean. But it seemed to suffer with the problems that a lot of the really early, like the series 2 and 3 Robot Wars robots suffered with, where their axes or flippers were very slow to respond, so it was getting underneath stuff, then once the thing had gone, then it would flip, which obviously isn't very good. Blue, though, was phenomenal. I was so impressed with this thing. I've seen a few robots that do like the strafing thing, like the sort of moving side to side, but a lot of them, they sort of seem to do it like, oh, how cool is this? But I don't really know how to attack with it. Whereas Blue is the first robot I've seen that can do it, that actually it knew exactly what it was doing. They had the axe, which is a good weapon for this sort of method of movement, as it were, and they were just keeping it pointed at the opponent at all times, and that was superb. And there was a really decent axe, and they say it's really well armored as well, so it'd be good to see that up against a spinner or something next time. With this battle, there's this like weird bit of false drama at the start, where Raging Bull flipped before like the green light was there, and then there was all this like, oh, you know, terror, all people looking all excited, and it just reminded me of like Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares or something. It was just like this massively overdone drama of absolutely nothing happening. I thought that was the only crap bit of this show that I've seen so far. Second battle was Suspension versus WU66. Very catchy name. So I was there minding my own business, just enjoying the show, and suddenly I see terrifying shit like this. What is this? Oh my god, there's more of them. Oh, Jesus. Dear God. Not needed. Don't need that kind of terrifying, unsettling shit in my life. Anyway, WU66. They're clearly a fan of right angles, I'll give them that. And their robot looked like someone had described robot combat to them, but they'd never actually seen a combat robot. Their blade was massively high off the ground, and it was, yeah, and they kept sort of driving into stuff. And I have so much respect for the Suspension team. I love the fact they've just gone for it with building robots. Like, they haven't just built one, had a go. They're just going for it. And you can see the improvement robot to robot. This one was very fast, very maneuverable. I say that quite a lot, don't I, in my reviews? But it really was, though. Next battle, Moment versus Griffin. Two very cool looking robots. Griffin, so this is the Bucky the Robot team, back with another mascot. Nice to see that's the recurring theme. As always, as I've said many times, it's a shame not to see them get sort of one bite with Griffin down. I haven't said that specifically, but it's a shame not to see the robot do what it's designed to do at least once, even if it does lose the battle ultimately. The bar spinner, there's been a lot of like kind of robots so far in this which have looked really cool but haven't actually been that effective, but this bar spinner looked really decent and quite a steep angle, quite an intriguing sort of angle that they had it mounted at. I think the angle also means that if that blade stopped, they'd still have like a wedge for pushing, which can be a weakness to some of the horizontal spinners, is that they don't, if that blade goes, that's it. Next was Steel Dragon versus Golden Sun Wheel. I'm not actually sure which one is which, because there was one with a dragon on it, but the Golden Sun Wheel is more descriptive of the one with the dragon on it than the other one. So I'm not sure. But basically one was a drum spinner, one was a sort of flailing sort of spinner thing. The fight was okay. The drum spinner was very controlled, very deliberate in its movement, which was quite cool to see. The best bit for me was the Hulkbuster intro. And he was obviously not walking very fast because they showed him walking and then they just sped up the footage like, yeah, come on, get on with it. Our next robots, so first one was a cluster bot. I don't know what they'd be described as. They were like full body chainsaws. Very unique design, gotta give them that. Not very effective. And I kind of predicted that. I don't think I was actually that clever in predicting that. So they were called Mammoth, Alpha, and Beta. And they didn't seem very well made either. The opposing robot, Whirlwind, was sort of a Son of Waiachi style frame spinner, I guess you'd call it. And they weren't even up to full speed, but they were causing huge amounts of damage on the other robots. Again, we always like to encourage the unique designs, but this wasn't a very good one. Look cool though. Next battle, Scorpion versus Blade Gyro. So Scorpion is not the god-awful Scorpion from old school Robot Wars. This is the god-awful Scorpion from King of Bots. It was a crusher, and as it crushed down, the crusher bent. And there was a great bit where you just saw Ian Lewis just smiling, just like, amateurs. And Blade Gyro was like a sort of it just looked like a Tombstone ripoff basically. The spinner didn't work at first, which obviously isn't very good. And there was a point in the battle when they sort of hit the spinner against the wall and it sort of started it, and it started going, and I thought, oh wow, these guys are that's really impressive driving, like, and skill to get that going in. And then they drove straight into the wall with it, and I was like, oh no, it must have been absolute fluke. Never mind. Two very cool names in our next battle: Inverse Scales versus Hunting Wind. I think Hunting Wind was the green axe bot. It looked like it had a very powerful axe, but it just seemed the way it was positioned down the robot obviously wasn't quite right, because it kept sort of leaping itself forward, so I think that took a lot of the energy out of the actual hits. But it was still really impressive to see the power there. Inverse Scales, if that is the other one, was just very slow, sort of had a sort of spiked drum thing on it, and I've never seen a robot so slow to actually accelerate before. Usually they're sort of, they're there, whatever speed they're going to go, they reach it pretty quickly. This was just sort of like, here we go, off it went. Maybe it just wasn't working properly, I'm not sure. So the next battle, this was Grubs versus Crossfire. So Grubs is the same team that gave us the Swarm. And if you remember in my review back then, I said that the sort of the only decent robot they had on the Swarm was the Spinner. And I said, wouldn't it be great if they had like a team which was just loads of the little spinners? And they did it. Like, I'm not suggesting they took my suggestion, obviously, but I was so pleased that I was like, oh wow, when you just really want something to happen, it just happens. Like, awesome. And then there was Crossfire. So the only bad thing I think about Robot Wars Series 10, apart from Fog of War, obviously, was the lack of PP3D. I'm a huge fan of PP3D just because it's so freaking mental. Like, it doesn't seem to do that well, but it's responsible for some like amazing moments on the show. So I was crazy happy to see that they were back with a different robot, and what an insane looking thing it is. Just weird like angled wheels, and just this psychotically enormous blade, and then like the four little springy little legs. I was really disappointed that it didn't do that well, but it's clearly so prone like to single point failure. Just one of those legs goes boom, that's the robot done. But when it was like balancing around like really on those wheels, it was really cool, and I could see the thing, if it could just like lean one way or the other, it just take out other robots. And a kind of a spinner from above, I don't know if that's by design, but that would have been really cool to see. So it's a shame they didn't go through. And the final battle was Inkthorn versus Dagger Saga. Again, no idea which one was which, but one of them was like a very sexy dead metal. I've never seen like the design of dead metal as in the claws and then the blade actually sort of replicated on a competitor before, but sadly they went out to this big, very elongated horizontal spinner, and it's a shame because that's a way more unique design. Horizontal spinners, I love them, don't get me wrong, but this one it was kind of dull. There's nothing particularly exciting about it, and it would have been cool to see the more unique robot go through. So this show just keeps on giving. It's just like amazing mix of all different international teams, a lot of them who've sort of, they've got their main robot and now they're kind of just experimenting with some cooler designs. I've no idea who's going to win as well. There's no clear champion so far. Maybe that's just because we've only seen one like fight from each competitor so far. Thank you so much for your comments on these videos, by the way. I'm learning a lot. There's a few things in here I have no idea. Like this episode, for example, there was 9 fights instead of 8. And I've no idea why, but no doubt one of you guys will tell me in the comments, because you've been telling me all sorts of stuff in there, so that's cool. Thank you for educating me, and thanks as always for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed the next episode of King of Bots. Cheerio.